Welcome back, everybody. There has been so much news in the last 2 weeks. You might have missed this very important story. Just before the government shut down, the FDA just quietly slid in an approval for the abortion drug mifepristone, which has been tied to some very serious safety concerns, not only for its obvious use of killing unborn babies, but in some cases it can hurt the mothers too. And Republicans in the Senate are looking to do something about it. A letter from 51 senators led by Senator Lindsey Graham are calling on the HHS and FDA to rethink their decision. And joining us now to discuss why is South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, as well as the president of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, Marjorie Dannenfelser. Senator Graham and Marjorie, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Senator, I'll start with you on the legislative side of things, because I think a lot of people have this assumption that when a new president comes to town, he appoints new people at agencies like the FDA and HHS. They think that everything's just going to run like clockwork. They're going to follow President Trump's pro-life agenda. That obviously did not happen. How do you fix it?
Well, you bring attention to the problem. So what are we talking about here? There are different ways to get an abortion. One is a pill, a chemical abortion that can be administered in pill form. So the Trump administration approved a generic version of an abortion drug, and we're all surprised by that. You know, we're supposed to be the pro-life people, right? And President Trump's been very helpful to the pro-life cause, been very friendly. So we were all surprised that the FDA would approve that pill in a generic version. So what we're trying to do is have the FDA look at the science around the dangers of taking this pill presents to women. We think that has been not adequately looked at. Then we want to go back to the 2017 Trump policies regarding the administering an abortion pill. Under 2017 protocols by President Trump, his first term, you had to go to a doctor before you could get the drug prescribed for an abortion. Biden did away with that requirement, and we're expecting, hopefully soon, Trump to reintroduce the requirement. You can't get it through the mail. You have to go to a doctor and have an in-person visit with a doctor to understand the dangers of this drug. So that's what we're doing. And finally, Marjorie's been great. The abortion pill is effective up to about 12 weeks. If you can get the abortion drug through the mail without seeing a doctor, and if the abortion drug can be delivered to a state that has pro-life protections, in my state, there's no abortions allowed after 6 weeks. Well, if you can get the pill through the mail, then you've wiped out the entire pro-life infrastructure in South Carolina and every other state. So if you think abortion should be a state issue regulated by the states, you can't allow the federal government to send it through the mail. Because that undercuts and destroys every state law in the books protecting the unborn. So this is a big deal, a big issue, and we're going to fight to have sanity rule here.
Yeah, so very important. Marjorie, the senator mentioned something important. There are some real concerns about the health effects of this pill and also not having women in touch with a doctor while they're going through a chemical abortion. Tell us some of the things that the public may not know about the dangers.
It is true. It is true that this taking it away from the doctor-patient relationship and allowing it through the mail has been a disaster for women. It's clearly a disaster for unborn children. 63% of babies are aborted through the chemical abortion that the pill is, and it's a disaster for states' rights. But for women in particular, which we ought to have a complete alliance with Planned Parenthood and every abortion activist, that the woman at least should be protected. And what we know is that 11% of women experience adverse effects, serious adverse effects from taking this pill that the other side compares to Tylenol, which is absolutely wrong. So I think you asked a question that is really important. Why is this happening under HHS Secretary Kennedy and the FDA commissioner? I think that the first administration, this Trump administration, got it right the first time. Take those rules, put them back around the drug, get them out of the mail, restore the doctor-patient relationship, and save a lot of lives and a lot of misery, and save a lot of children's lives as well.
Marjorie, I want to ask you about the messaging from Democrats, because they will say that this is about access. But we know that when a woman doesn't have to go to a doctor's appointment, there's a gravity of that situation that's taken away. We also know that when there is a 6-week ultrasound and they can hear the heartbeat, that oftentimes compels a mother to keep that baby. So has it ever been about access, or is it really just about messaging and making abortion so easy and I mean, almost thoughtless?
What a difference just a handful of years makes. It used to be safe, legal, and rare. No concern about safe. Absolutely undermining the rights of states to have their own laws. And rare is certainly not true, because the abortion rate is way up since Dobbs. If you take the doctor out of this relationship, out of the loop at all with a woman, you don't know if she has an ectopic pregnancy. You don't know anything about her history. You don't know what the gestational age of the child is. And the gestational age of the child, if you only care about one of the people in this calculation, really has an enormous impact on the life and health of the woman. So again, I say join with us, Planned Parenthood, and reestablish common sense, woman-centered rules. Also, respect some state sovereignty and stop acting lawless in the movement of these pills across state lines into pro-life states.